This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
From the Grand Ole Opry Plaza in the historic Acuff House studio. It's our new studio home. Welcome in as you watch now all over the world on Circle Country Television. You can watch there, or you can link to your favorite streaming platform when you get there at CircleCountry.com. Or as you listen around the world at 650 AM WSM and WSMRadio.com. Zach Bennett is in for Charlie Mattos. Kelly Sutton and I are sitting here talking about Kelsey Ballerini and how fun it was to know, as much as we love her and support her, she's an Opry member, that Patterns, her brand new full-length album, is out today. And we're going to go back to the stage of the Grand Ole Opry here in just a little bit for an Opry Live moment.
Oh, I like that.
And it's not from the new album, but it's all Kelsey all the time.
Okay, well,
it's that girlfriend anthem that she did. If you go down, I'm going down with you.
If you go down, I'm going down too.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. She always puts one, she says, for the girls on the album. So there's one on this album too. I'll let you guys decide which one you think it is. But yeah, the new album is out, Patterns. We are getting ready for her sold out show at Madison Square Garden, which is happening next week. Very exciting for her. She also has an arena tour, so many things. So we've got that to talk about. Not to be outdone, Jordan Davis says, I have a new song as well. I would like to raise my hand and I would like for you to listen to it. So we'll talk about Jordan Davis's new song that he just released. What is happening in 12th South? If you're getting ready for Christmas, you're getting like all the things. You're like, I got to get this for this person. I'm making my list. Luke Bryan says, may I offer you a selection of new underwear? So there's going to be a retail store. I've got all the details. Stay tuned for that.
Boxers or briefs? Canaan Smith is live with us here in just a little bit. He's got brand new music, a couple of things to share. And then he leaves here and heads to Tulare, California tomorrow night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then he's back across the country. Within just a few days, he's back across the country next weekend in North Carolina, I want to say.
That's a lot of flying.
They call that poor routing in the touring and music business. Hey, it's Coffee, Country, and Cody on WSM Radio. We're actually giving a tour to Canaan Smith, our special guest this morning of the Acuff House studio.
We're like, look at this, and look at this, and this is Mr. Acuff's living room.
He's still looking at pictures and posters and things that are hanging on the walls here in the studio, and I turn around and go, oh, I lost my tour. I'm your tour guide, and I've lost my party here. So,
we gotta go.
Yeah,
we gotta get into it.
If we're a little distracted, we are. Welcome. It's Coffee, Country, and Cody from the Acuff House studio on the Grand Ole Opry Plaza. And Canaan, as you look out at that view, that's the entrance to the Opry House. I can't tell you how many artists go, I've really never seen the entrance to the Opry House, like where the paying customers go in. We always come in through the artist entrance.
I looked. How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning.
And hey, everybody listening. The only time I've seen the entrance was when I came as a younger, new Nashville transplant from Virginia. I came here and checked it out with my mom one time. We went and saw one of her favorites. I can't remember. I think it was the guy that sang "Good Morning, Beautiful." What was that song?
Steve Holy.
Steve Holy. Yeah. I think we came to see Steve because she was a big fan of that song, and we came through the main entrance, of course, at that point, and then it was off to the races with my own music, and I didn't see the front entrance anymore. It was just the back.
But good problem to have.
It was a great. This morning rolling in, and I haven't played the Opry in a few years, so it was a really great feeling coming back. But I've never taken the turn to the Acuff House. Obviously, hadn't been back here. I know this is your new digs, and it's beautiful. But, man, driving under that bridge and through the woods as it winds back here, you feel like you're in your own, cabin back here, which I'm a huge fan of that kind of feeling.
That little stream that runs behind the house
so
here.
Awesome.
On a moonlit night. Recently, we had that supermoon. We had 4 in a row this fall.
Yeah.
And it was the largest. It was the one closest to the earth. And so that moonlight and the fog coming up off the water, the water was, when you get in here first thing in the morning and it was still dark, it was magical.
It looked like country music.
Hey, that's a great song title. Looks like country music, and then you just describe the whole scene.
Yeah.
You got a guitar there. I mean, you can probably just plunk it out. So you've got new music. You've been busy. Tell us about everything.
Yeah, I mean, life right now is full. Every corner of my life, I feel like, is maxed out with good stuff. We've got, my wife and I have been married 10 years. We just celebrated.
Congrats.
We've got, thank you, 2 kids. One's turning 5 on Halloween. We've already had her birthday party early because I have to fly out to California tonight. But then we have a 2.5-year-old son named Ramsey. My daughter's in Virginia. We're super happy just being new parents. We feel like we're learning as we go, but we've got like this really sweet world we've been blessed with, that we honestly experience a roller coaster of emotions every day. We go through I'm going to pull my hair out and, oh my God, how am I going to get through this, to just doting on them and being obsessed with them. And that's the sweetest part about it. And so I'm fitting all of that into, I'm fitting music into that picture now.
That's cool.
And so I'm writing from a different place than I had been in the past. And it's not all dad songs or anything like that. It's just my heart's in a new spot, and I'm excited that there are no rules. I'm kind of in this like no confines, do it my way scenario, and that's really working out for me. I feel like I'm being more fearless as a songwriter, and I think that your kids have a way of giving you confidence, and so my whole identity has shifted from pandering, what can I do that will work, to who am I, and be that only. And that's just, I think that's a result of being a dad and trying to be a leader for those kids, and you just settle into yourself, and what you want them to become, you try to emulate yourself. And so I know it's a long answer.
No,
That's what's going on.
As you were describing that, I have this vivid snapshot memory now. It may be the house you're presently in, but the last time you and I worked the Opry together, you came in this tattered T-shirt. You looked like you had been drugged down Briley Parkway behind a vehicle. And
That's nice, Bill. That's really nice.
It was and this is what I remember. You were moving that day, and then got behind and realized
we're still in the same house.
I got to get to the Opry.
Okay, good.
he just came as he was, and it was a beautiful moment. The Opry, of course, as many used to say, as Minnie Pearl, love them and they'll love you back, and they loved you back when you told the story. Hey,
I do remember that.
Yeah, I do.
It was a whirlwind, and obviously life hadn't changed much because it's still a whirlwind.
And what part of town are you in?
We're in Green Hills. It's the Lipscomb side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Granny White, or Leland, where it meets Gray Bar. We're kind of right there.
Okay.
Oh, that's a pretty section.
It's great because we can cut through.
Uh-huh.
The only downside is the sidewalks. There's no sidewalks there, and a lot of people use our street as a cut through, getting around
gotta be
town.
careful, yeah.
And so they kind of whip around. I'm the old guy yelling at cars, slowing them down in the neighborhood. But I'm proud to be that right now.
So
You said Virginia's 5?
Yeah, she'll be 5 in a week. I
And
know.
is she what's she into now? Because 5, they start to get that
sings her tail off.
There it is.
Sings and dances. Wants to put
Yeah.
on a show all day, every day, and wants all eyes on her as she does it. And she's just so creative artistically. She draws and paints, and she's always singing and rhyming. I hear her doing beats in her, like with her mouth. She'll be just riding her in the backseat, singing these songs in her head and doing this stuff. And I'm like, that's pretty cool, and it's also terrifying at the same time because I know this journey. It's a rough one sometimes.
Where'd you grow up in Virginia?
I grew up in the southeast, Williamsburg, and it's a quiet little town, but it's a tourist town. They've just done a really good job preserving some American history there.
How far back does Williamsburg go?
Well, I think 1607 was Jamestown settlement.
Okay.
And that's in our town. It's still there, and I'm actually playing there next week.
Good for you.
A new series called Jamestown Jams, and so it's got just tons and tons of history. This is back to the settlers, the early settlers, and every time I go back there, I still feel right at home. It hadn't changed much. They've just poured a little more money into updating, but it hadn't really grown it hasn't outgrown itself like Nashville has. It just it's kind of stayed true and I enjoy going home. I really do.
Got a couple of new pieces out, and one of them we're going to feature is called Green right now. Give us a backstory. And you talked about your writing. You're writing from a place where you really want to be. Are you co-writing?
I'm co-writing. Yes, sir.
Who are some of your co-writes these days?
This one I wrote Green with Drew Kennedy. And Drew is just an unbelievable songwriter and human. Every time we get together, he and I both enjoy really taking our time and trying to use our adjectives, And
what's interesting? You're from this historic spot in Virginia. If I'm not mistaken, he's from
Gettysburg. Or is
He's from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania,
Oh, he
originally.
is. No way.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that. Maybe there's a correlation there in the history and growing up in that tradition. And,
Yeah.
And somehow,
But he's associated with Texas.
right,
In
totally.
recent years,
Yep,
certainly.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we love writing songs together, and this one was one of the first ones we ever wrote, and I wanted it to be something I could see me relating to, but not being a "this is my life" story. And so we created this fable, and it's a story of a guy who I definitely can relate to. This guy is trying to make ends meet, and he's growing a crop in the woods that he shouldn't be. And but he's a tither on Sundays, and he puts a little on the plate, and he's a good guy, and he's not doing anybody any harm. One day, the DEA catches wind of his operation, and in that same night, in a crazy turn of events, a thunderstorm rolls in and lightning strikes, and it hits a tree right near his crop and starts a fire, and it burns the whole thing up. And so as the DEA arrives the next morning, it's nothing but ashes, and he's saved by literally the grace of God. And the flip in the bridge is he realizes, well, I guess it paid off. I put some in the plate, and so it's insane. I'm not saying he's a stoner, but I do know Jesus saves is what how it goes. So
that's cool.
I'm like, I can relate to this guy. I'm not growing anything I shouldn't be, but I definitely have been in his shoes where 11th hour salvation has had to happen to put me on the right path, and be it a wrong relationship or hanging with the wrong crowd, or even just in this town with my music and trying to use my intuition and being spirit led, right? Mm-hmm. Versus what do I want? Just trying to make ends meet, but do it in a way that glorifies God. That's really my whole intention now. So
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
And Canaan Smith is in studio with us this morning on his way to the Zumwalt Amphitheater in Tulare, California tomorrow night. And then the following weekend on November 1st, next Friday, Morganton, North Carolina. And then back home in Williamsburg, Virginia on November 2nd for Jamestown Jams on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm. And you are back and forth a whole lot. You've got a lot happening.
Yeah, I know, but it's a good balance. Honestly, I used to stay on the road, and I'd be gone, the radio tour days, you'd be gone sometimes the entire month or longer.
Yeah. And then you were out with Dirks, and
I was
you were
out
out
with Dirks
with
and,
Florida Georgia Line.
Yep, FGL, and we've really had so much fun out there all these years. But now the pace is just a little different. I'm still getting out there because there's nothing in the world I love more than playing my live shows. But now it's a little more manageable as far as, I'm not a slave to it. I get to still do it and make a living doing it, but I come home 36 hours later. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's go there and come back, and that works for all of us.
Do you enjoy it more now? Because seems
honestly.
Like when you're doing things on your own terms, and I keep thinking of a friend that's like, you put the big rocks in the jar first. You put the things that are most important first, and then everything else fills in around it. And it feels like that's basically what
right.
you've done. You put family first and your life first, and then music is making its way as well.
And I'm so much more fulfilled that way.
Good.
I'm more creative that way. Somehow everything works better that way. Yeah, true.
That's amazing.
It's been 10 years since Bronco, right?
Yeah,
like
that's
a
right.
decade,
Yes, sir.
that
yes,
album.
Sir. Yeah, which is crazy.
And Love You Like That, would that be the one thing that everybody would know Canaan Smith for?
Yep, they still sing it at the top of their lungs, which is so fun. And I love just that season of life. I feel so blessed to have had my Mercury Records team, and the run that we had together was pretty epic. It was a 51-week number one, so it took 51 weeks to get there. And at that time, it was either tied for or was one of the longest runs to number one. And so we obviously, you get close to people and you spend that much time with them, running around the country, working your songs together. And so I do feel grateful for that season of life.
Where did we do your number one party?
Do you remember?
Cabana.
Yeah.
That's I can remember we were back there. It's
so
not
fun.
there anymore. Now
Right,
Cabana's
something
gone.
different.
But I remember being at the number one party, and it was the biggest celebration
It was
because
awesome.
it had taken 51 weeks.
I know.
That was fun.
It was the little song that could. It felt like.
Absolutely.
Well, We're in studio this morning with Canaan Smith on Coffee, Country, and Cody and sharing some new music. Is there a full album I hear coming maybe in January?
Yes, sir. I've got a full length coming in January, and the first two are out now. I've got two more coming December 6th, and then the full album January 24th. And I named it Chickahominy. The album is called Chickahominy because that's one of the rivers that runs through my hometown. And I'll play that for you today as well. But it's a tribute to that river, and it's proof that I still, have vivid memories and a very special bond with the place I was raised and the people who helped keep me grounded. And so that it felt like a really cool tribute to them, naming the album after that river. And this is a fearless chapter for me, songwriting. I cover a lot of things I've never even gone, places I've never gone before. Singing about some pretty gnarly things at times. Gambling addiction and things that you peel back the rug a little bit and you find some ugly truth, but I like examining the reality, and not shying away from what needs to be said more, because I think that makes me have more purpose in life. I'm not just trying to write what I think will be something that resonates as a hit song, but I'm trying to have something more to say. And so, this album is full of content I've never shared before.
Did you first come into our lives in living rooms on reality television? Do I have that?
God, yeah, probably so. Yeah, you saw me trying to push my girlfriend at the time down this water slide in Dubai, I bet, on The Amazing Race.
That was it.
Was that before the music thing?
Yeah, that was. I had a publishing deal at the time.
Okay. All right.
I had actually just signed my first publishing deal in town. It was with Disney Music Publishing, ran by Doug Howard at the time. Uh-huh. And 2 weeks later, I got this opportunity to go on The Amazing Race, and you have to go you're gone for 30 days, right? That's a commitment. You're gone 30 days, no matter if you get kicked off the first week or not. And so I just signed a publishing deal, and I'm like, hey guys, by the way, I can't write for 30 days. I'm going out of town, and so they weren't super stoked about that. But I came back with a whole world of experience and things just to talk about.
Where did you get the name Canaan? Obviously, your parents there's a backstory there.
Biblical family, grew up in the church,
right.
Parents of faith. And so they had 6 of us, and we all have biblical names. My favorite of all of us is my brother's name is Judah, and I just think that's really a strong name. But
better than Zacchaeus.
Better than Zacchaeus. Yeah. And so, just the cool, I love the fact that, I've got a story behind it, and I also feel like a journeyman myself, still on the way, always. And Canaan is symbolic of the promised land you're on your way to. You're en route to your promised land. And so I have that hanging over my head, a mantle over my life, really, that I just feel like I can always fall back on that truth if I feel a little lost. I'm like, it's okay. I'm on a journey and I'm on my way. So it's a pretty cool name.
On your way to Canaan land.
On my way, baby. Always.
Canaan Smith. Find him on the web at canansmith.com, and tomorrow night in Tulare, California. This is your homework assignment. If you've never heard it, look up Merle Haggard's Tulare Dust while you're thinking about Canaan playing Tulare, California tomorrow night. And we look forward to that new album in early 2025. Thanks for coming to see us.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right.
And 62-degree morning as Kelly Sutton updates us on the top story she's working on.
Absolutely. And we're talking about Kelsey Ballerini. The new album is out. Patterns is here. It feels like we've been talking about it for a while because there's so much that was wrapped up with this album release. So she also announced she's going on tour, her first, quote, big girl tour. She said it's called Kelsey Ballerini Live, which love the title. You can't mistake it what you're buying a ticket for. But she's going to be in arenas for the first time. The album has just been dropped. She's got a sold-out show next week at Madison Square Garden. And I just saw some friends posted pictures. She's on the Today Show this morning as we speak. So they were there on the plaza taking video of her as she was getting ready to do her whole thing at the Today Show. So it's just been a whole lot. Street Week has been very busy for Kelsey Ballerini. But she took time to do the podcast that I host on Amazon Music with Amber Anderson and myself. She was with us earlier this week, and we were just talking about how all of this came together, what she was looking forward to, and of course, Madison Square Garden. Here's what she had to say.
In my brain, I'm like, can I do this? I'm terrified.
Oh,
Are
it's going to
you?
be incredible.
It's a whole new production,
Yeah.
bigger than I've ever done.
Yeah.
And then it's presented at Madison Square Garden. So like 4 days after the album comes out. So it's a swing for sure.
It's a big swing. She's taking big swings, this girl. And we're happy about that. So congratulations to Kelsey. Listen to Patterns. It's out right now. Tickets for the tour go on sale next week. So if you are interested in going to see her live, Kelsey Ballerini live, then you can log on and get your tickets starting next week. And Marin Taylor is going to be opening for her. So we love Marin. Very excited about that. Jordan Davis has new music as well. He says, hold on. Kelsey's not the only one. I'm over here.
Pick me.
Hello, I'd like to raise my hand. I have new music. His current single is I Ain't Saying. He's got a new one. This one is called Know You Like That. I don't know you like this, but he don't know you like that. Ooh.
That's strong.
Good job, Jordan Davis. We are proud of you.
Got yourself another hit record.
Yeah, he does. Okay, Lainey Wilson. She's out on the road, literally in the middle of a whirlwind. It's truly the name of the album and her life all at the same time. So what does she need when she's on the road? Well, she told CMT her must-haves include cough drops, tea, a yoga mat, and her French bulldog, Hippie Mae Wilson. And Hippie Mae has her own Instagram and has more followers than I do. So there you
She
go.
has 26,000 followers, and her bio line reads, Hippie Mae Wilson, owner of that B.I. Lainey Wilson.
Makes me laugh so hard. In case you were wondering, it's throat coat tea that she has, and you should add that to your arsenal if you are a singer.
By the way, I got coffee through my nose earlier. First time I saw that bio line on
Oh
that
my
Instagram
gosh.
page.
It's priceless.
And then there are tons of pictures of the two of them together.
They're so cute.
Check it out.
And the little dog snores. If you're looking to come to Nashville and buy a piece of property, we have one that you might be interested in. It's George Jones's former home. This was Nestledown Farms. It's out in Franklin, about 15 minutes from downtown Franklin. 9,000 square feet. This is a big one. It's 25 acres. You're seeing video of the entrance right now if you're watching us on Circle Country. This is a gorgeous setting, beautiful property, 4 bedrooms, 6.5 baths, outdoor patio, swimming pool, and pool house. And you can see the gates have like what is that? Like a treble clef right there. And the whole music.
Like sheet music.
Theme. So it could be yours for the low, low price of $5.9 million.
That's Kelly Sutton Entertainment, and this is Coffee, Country, and Cody. Thank you to Canaan Smith for coming to see us. On the way, Lexie Hayden. Hey, good morning, Lexie, and thanks for the cookies already. Hard to forget. Make sure, if you're trying to make a first impression.
Cookies or merch. I was like, they're going to want cookies.
Yeah.
Cookies wins.
That's right. And emblazoned with your name so we don't forget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until you eat it.
It'll be a wonderful memory to have. Oh, that's amazing. And I've got a rainbow.
Yes, they're rainbows are my logo, and then the screen printed my album, but those are a little blurry because it's hard to get all that stuff in there.
That's okay.
I'm glad you mentioned album because we had a 5-song EP to date from you. But today, Counting Rainbows, the full album, which I saw an interview with you where you said, I'm funding this myself and I am running out of money.
Yes. No, I ran out of money. I'm out now.
Past tense.
It is so expensive to make music these days, but I mean, it's so worth it. Like, I wouldn't want to spend my money on anything else.
Did you have a budget or is it just one of
No.
the, okay, good. Cause you're like me.
I didn't, I had a budget in my head and I have gone way over because I kept adding songs and like, then you want to do videos and then you want to order merch and there's just so much that goes into it that you don't account for. And I want all these songs to have the best lives they can. So I want to fund it
Yeah.
the most I can.
Okay, that's good stuff. Yeah. Well, and then people listen to it and then they hopefully buy it and buy some merch and then you make some money.
Yes, I am now. I was in the investment period. Now I hope I'm in the recoupment period.
There you go. There you go.
So people would first remember you if they know that name and that face. They would know you from MTV originally, right?
Yes.
And
well,
how long
if,
ago was
if
that?
people watched it.
Yeah.
That was
Becoming a Pop Star? Was
yes.
that the name of it? Yeah.
It was 2.5 years ago. It aired on MTV Weekly. It's no longer available on streaming platforms, but you can still find some episodes on YouTube.
Okay.
Yes.
What was the impetus for that? Did you say, hey, I think I want to try something like this, or did they come for you? How did it work?
They came for me, and it was kind of like a discovered by TikTok thing, and there was only 8 artists on the show, and I was the only country music artist. So I really do think I was there to represent country music.
No pressure.
Because they know it's, you have to, it's such a worldwide, like, people love country music now. It's so big. And the show wasn't really catered for a country artist to win because there was a lot of dance and choreography that happened later. So I only made it to 2 episodes. But Joe Jonas and Becky G were the judges. And so Joe Jonas, he said some really kind things about my songwriting. And I filmed a video in Bobby's Idle Hour. And he said on TV, he said, I know that bar. He said, I've been in that bar before.
Yeah, his dad has a whole management firm here.
Yeah.
Right?
So that was the coolest part of that show, is connecting to all the other artists. And then I got to work with Pepsi after with the Pepsi Music Lab.
Oh, nice.
Because Pepsi was the sponsor of the show. And then just getting to know that Joe Jonas has heard my songwriting.
And what happens in the Pepsi lab, the music lab?
So that was last year, and that was about a 15-month thing. And Pepsi picked 12 independent artists and gave them a $10,000 grant to record music. So some of that went towards the album. And then they booked us gigs. We did stuff in New York and worked with Bullet Bourbon. We did a bunch of different stuff. And it was just like trying to elevate and work. Pepsi was just trying to help independent artists. That's really what it was.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really
That was only the second year of them doing that. So they actually might do the Pepsi Music Lab again this year, which I think it's really special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your backstory, we had Canaan Smith in a little bit earlier.
Oh, today?
Yeah, he's from Virginia, and you are too, right?
Yeah, actually, I just saw that he was releasing all this new music, and it's very different for him, right?
It's good. It's
Yeah,
so good.
it looks really, and I've always been a Canaan Smith fan. Where is he from in Virginia?
Williamsburg.
Okay, so I'm from Northern Virginia, so probably about an hour and a half from Williamsburg.
Okay.
But yeah, that's funny. I forgot he was from Virginia. Yeah.
What were the influences growing up? What were you listening to at home?
I was listening to Shania, to Faith Hill, to Martina. It was like females for me. 2000s females,
Or a lot to choose from.
A lot, Reba, you had Trisha Yearwood, you had Leanne Rimes was one of my favorites. Still one of my favorites to this day is Leanne Rimes. I was big into female country, like the female country karaoke discs. That's what I had.
Were you performing live around your hometown?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But
Where were you
I'm
playing? What kind of places?
See, I'm from outside of DC a little bit, so it's more of a rock scene. And I just would perform at the local cafes, the coffee shops, the little venues. And I started playing at this place called Jam and Java, which was just like a local venue. I also would perform at the guitar store that I took lessons at. We would do like little jam sessions on Friday nights. And then I went to James Madison University, where I performed all over Harrisonburg, Virginia. And then I moved here when I was 22.
Phil Vassar is a James Madison.
Oh yeah, Phil and I go way back. We weren't in college together, but I met him about a year into living here.
Which it was, you're coming up on what, 10 years?
9. It was 9 in August. Yeah.
10-year town.
I know.
What was
creeping up?
What was the first month like? Take us back.
Really stressful. Like I remember losing hair because I just because it was just like a huge change in my life.
But you'd made up your mind to come and
there
make
was
a go
no
of it.
turning back.
Okay.
And I never wanted to be anywhere else. But I think when I moved here, I was 20. I just turned 22. I had just graduated college. I got my first big time job, which I worked at BMI in a cubicle for my first year of living here. And I had a new apartment. I had no furniture, and all of a sudden I'm just my whole life, 360. And I was scared, but I was excited. And I think that after a few weeks of living here, I just started to realize this is home. I'm never going to leave. And now I own a house, and I will be here forever.
Oh, I love that.
Give us a little setup for Another Vice, which you're going to feature. Counting Rainbows is out today. Is there a backstory we need to know? A co-write on this, or
for Another Vice?
Yeah.
I wrote this. This was actually the last song written for the record.
Oh.
And it was that kind of thing where I felt like the more I recorded and the more I was working on this album, I just continued writing songs. And I was like, God, I got to add this one to the album too. like this one has to go on the album. And then I was like, hold on, let me find some money and we'll put it on. So this one ended up being like coming in at the last minute and being the title track.
Perfect.
You never know.
You heard the backstory here. You're on Coffee, Country, and Cody.